Let's start. I now call over this meeting of the Huntingburg Common Council. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pray. Dear Father, God, thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and thank you for those that are chosen to serve this great city. We ask now, as we go into this meeting of the council today, that our decisions may be for the benefit of all in this community. For these things we ask in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
You all have gotten copies of the minutes? Are there any additions or corrections to those, or do I hear a motion to accept?
Motion to accept the minutes.
And a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Got a chance to review the claims. Do I hear a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Only thing under my area is last Thursday, the Board of Public Works and Safety did approve the addition of 3 firefighters. That'll bring us up to the 30 that's budgeted for the firefighters. Those people were Justin Martin, who's right now a F1 or a firefighter 1 already certified as moved to this area. We're also been have 2 other individuals that have been going through training with the fire department: Santiago Nunez, Christian Calderon. What I would need is a motion to accept those 3 firefighters into the Huntingburg Volunteer Fire Department.
Yes, so the council approves, the fire chief recommends a list of candidates, and the council approves those, and the mayor can appoint from that approved list.
I think we had 7 candidates, and there's still a waiting list for firefighters.
I'll make a motion to accept those firefighters.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Mayor, I'm curious about, we're at 30, I think I recall 30 being full, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
That's
we
correct.
stop at 30.
Do we ever consider increasing that limit? We've got people waiting.
We have, over the time, we used to be 25, and then we went to 28, and we went to 30. So yeah, we've increased it. And it's odd that we have a waiting list, because for a while, it's tough to find firefighters, so.
Your marketing
Yeah.
department has done well.
Yeah,
but-
I know there needs to be probably more money budgeted if we increase the limit, but you hate to not take advantage of a waiting list. You know, have people take their name off the list for not being put on, you know.
When people retire or leave or move or whatever, we're not beholden to fill that spot again. I mean, we can always, but we're not stuck with it. You can have 30 firefighters and 32 positions available, right? I mean, that's what we've had in the past.
Yeah, at one time, I believe they were down, 3 years ago, about 17, and a couple of those even had some health issues. One thing that's provided for is that keeping it at that level is, I think, put a little more pressure on people to be able to attend meetings, to attend. He's held it a lot. There's kind of a point system. They've responded to so many emergencies, have so many hours of training, work on Sundays. Excuse me. Attend the Wednesday training sessions. So there's a whole list of things that are required. I think in the past we kind of looked the other way because we didn't have enough. Right. Now they're holding their feet to the fire for those. Even though they all are volunteers, we do count on them and we want them trained. So the training level as a result of that has increased drastically over the past few years. And Glenn can attest to that. He's all his years with the fire department. We have a well-trained fire department. They're really shooting right now. You know, we're at a class, 4, that we're hoping that maybe March or so be closer to class 3. So we can't go to class 1 or 2 without a full-time firefighter. So we would be at the highest, one of the highest volunteer forces in the states.
And there are very few Class 4 volunteers in the state,
Yes.
so we're sort of an exception.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah, and some of these people that are coming on are people that have kind of been around the firefighters, and they've been active and shown up for events and been around, so you kind of learn their character as it goes.
Is there a way that the fire department includes people that are on the waiting list, but not necessarily full-fledged volunteer fire department member? Can they participate in anything?
They have to have them, first of all, we'd have to put them on to cover them under insurance. They have to have their mandatory hour training, and then they'd have to go towards certification. So that might be tough. That's why we have to actually have to put them on before they start their class of trainings, because we're covering them under insurance.
Is there ever a time where, with a full roster and a waiting list, that they would ever ask aging firefighters to step aside and allow room for people on, or how do you?
No.
Never have done that?
No.
So I'm off. Oh,
I thought you were talking about Glenn.
guilty.
Treading on that.
Just curious how you manage that, attrition on one end, but a waiting list on the other. If there's
Well, on average, I mean, how many firefighters does it take to fight like a fire? I think that it's like the people, there's something to be said about even though they're maybe not actively fighting the fire, just the years and years of knowledge that
Yeah.
offers a lot too. So I think it's,
And I think we'd have to rely on our chief to give us that recommendation, what he thinks he wants and needs. As the mayor said, he's got a point system going right now that might take care of some of our problem. I don't know,
Yeah.
See, he also has to manage this many
Right.
people too,
Right.
so that maybe should come from him. How many does he, how many can he,
Well, he has personnel,
effectively
he has
manage?
personnel to help him, but yes.
You know,
Yeah, it's a very manageable number of people. The training's conducted by others besides himself usually that oversee people that are certified to do that training. Yeah, I encourage you to come show up on some Wednesday nights and look at the training. They've
Usually the first,
practice, they throw out addresses and see how fast they can actually find that address. And I don't think some of us could always find all those roads and where they're at. But they do understand the numbering system, and just by the number, they know what direction to head to.
the second meeting's usually the hard training session.
Yeah.
The first meeting's more of a light training in business. They usually hit the streets on the third Wednesday.
clearly something good is happening
Yeah.
to have gone
Oh, yeah.
from 17 a few years ago to now
Oh, yeah.
30 with a waiting list. So that's
and that says
good
something
news.
for our community too. That's amazing. So many people are stepping up. That's really awesome.
good.
Yeah.
That's the envy of a lot of volunteer fire departments now, I can tell you that. And our response time is about half of what many volunteer forces have, so.
I think it's
We do have people actually
more
respond.
like I mean, it's faster now than it was in Indianapolis. I mean, I'll tell you that. Like, I think they're at 4.5 minutes for in town, and that's remarkable. Really, truly remarkable.
Standard
So-
for volunteers about 9 minutes, I believe. Does
Yeah,
that sound about
depending-
right?
depending
We're,
on-
we're less than half of that,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
He
That's
puts- He
amazing.
puts that on his
That's
monthly
amazing.
report.
That's amazing.
yeah. Yeah, a couple months ago, we were in the 3-minute range, so it's, all right, thank you.
That's amazing. I can't get over that. That's amazing. That's amazing.
I say it all the time, so. We have City Attorney Phil Schneider.
I have nothing because I see Tom's got a lot here, so I'm not.
All right,
You'll
Clerk
do it.
Treasurer.
I'll wait
We
till
have the
next time.
consideration from the 2025 elected officer salary ordinance, which was a vote. This would be for the second vote.
It was introduced.
Yeah, it was
at your
introduced last
Introduced,
meeting.
yeah.
And it's ready for consideration for adoption if you so choose tonight.
What you have in front of you is the clerk, treasurer, and mayor is at 5%, and the council was at 2.5%.
Which our reasoning for the 2.5% was that's basically the rate of inflation, or what it currently is. So that kind of kept us in line with where, just so that if you don't have raises, at least at the rate of inflation, you're taking a pay cut every year. So I think just to stay competitive.
City employees are more than that.
Yes, yeah.
5.
Right.
Any other discussion?
Motion to adopt.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Bolte.
Aye.
Kitzling.
Aye.
Ware.
Aye.
Bounds.
Aye.
McFerrin.
Aye.
5 ayes, no nays.
Okay. Next, consideration of the board appointments. You sent out a list. The council has the redevelopment commission as well as the board of zoning appeals.
Yeah, I've talked to Nick Stevens and Jamie Rashi, and they're willing to serve if you so see fit.
And all the redevelopment commission terms are 1 year, so.
So you need approval for these people?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I've got a motion to approve. We got a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
And there's one other item that Riley Shoemaker has moved, and you're going to need to replace him for the remainder of his term, which expires 12/31/25. And I don't know that you have to do it now, but think about it.
Anywhere in the city limits?
I'm not sure. Is that?
Yeah, I just saw that 70. I'm not sure what position Riley is in.
He was in 3.
Was he? Then it would be city limits.
He was in whatever precinct 3. I don't know if it matters for
You know,
that.
it could be, if he was in city limits, then it's a city limit. It's not a, there are some that are on that, serve on that because they have to be in the extraterritorial outside the city limits. But since he's in the city limits, then that would be an individual you would appoint from the city limits then.
Okay.
So if you like, we can make recommendations to the council to come up with some names for the next, for you approve in a future.
What was that for?
Unless you
That's
have-
for the,
unless you have somebody.
Board of Zoning Appeals,
You know how often they meet a year,
as needed.
as needed?
Only when they have business.
Yeah, it's very.
3
not that-
times maybe?
Yeah, maybe 3 or 4 times a year at the most. But when they do have business, it's usually somewhat controversial, you know.
Yeah.
People are asking for
A variance or
variance,
something.
an exception to the zoning ordinance, and those are sometimes popular, sometimes not so popular.
There are no,
So they do take some heat. I mean,
there were no requests at this month's meeting, as an example, so that meeting was canceled. Any other, well, we have this one citizen item that I know of here, and if you want to come up front here and introduce yourself and get on camera here.
I get on camera
And,
too?
Yes.
All right. Oh, hell, I got it. We're voting too.
Thank you, Jim.
Careful, press that button. All right. I am John Sonner, and I'm here representing my siblings about a piece of property that we own here in town. And like I said, I added a couple things to this. The main thing is, it's a good thing you were talking about them firemen. We may need more of them if you guys let us do what we're talking about and move forward with this. We're wanting to be able to burn on our property, which is in the city limits. However, we have 14.65 acres, and we currently cannot do that because of the current burn ordinance. And we are wanting to see about having a variance on that ordinance to, in my opinion, allow anyone perhaps that owns 5 acres or 10 acres. You know, you could specify what the acreage would need to be, but you know, you're not going to burn on a 1/4 acre lot.
Can I?
That's not what we're looking for, but you know.
I hate to interrupt you. What is your address?
My address is 917 Shelby Street.
All right, thank you.
Is that the address we're talking about?
That's behind where I'm at there, yeah.
So
I
it's
mean, it's
more-
right there between there and Shelby, or Cherry Street, and then it's north of OFS's main office up there. So.
Are
if
you burning tree limbs? Is that what you're getting rid of?
Yeah, that tree row that runs north of OFS's property line, and on the other side is our property. We got a little cabin back there and a pond, but yeah, we have lots of trees, and we're not gonna pay to have them things hauled off when a branch comes down, when you're talking about 14 acres that, we're not gonna be burning the town down.
How often do you foresee having this type of fire?
It varies. I mean, just depends, like, we have some of these storms that come through, and, we had our little mishap a few months ago, but, because last time we did that, I was told, just call the dispatch and let everybody know what's going on. Didn't have any issues. We burned, that was a year and a half ago. Did the same thing this past summer. Well, lo and behold, come to find out that's not allowed, because Donnie Heim, he said, hey, as I told him, unfortunately, the match had already been set, because I was under the impression of what we did a year ago was still going to be okay. And then Donnie said, we cannot do that. So like I said, I mean, if you got that much, acres in town, and you got trees, and those things are getting blowed down, and you're picking limbs up and stuff like that, you do not, again, what's the point of having somebody come in and haul it away, and, when you've got the property there, and you can make a pile on and burn it.
So you're talking like just instead of burning it kind of as you go in a fire pit type situation, you're saving it all up and then doing like a 1 year burning
1 year,
man sort
2
of.
years, whatever. Yeah, but we're talking some big limbs.
Yeah.
Or even trees. We've got dead trees that we're gonna be cutting down, because there's several of them up there. It's not a forest, because we actually have the property also baled twice a year, so there's somebody doing that, but we still have enough trees to where,
How far does the city limits go past your property?
I think the line, if I recall correctly, doesn't the line still run down Cherry Street?
Cherry
Cherry is?
Street,
Yeah,
yes.
Right down the middle of Cherry. And like I said, we're right on Cherry.
Okay.
The line, it actually goes one lot past Cherry Street to the east.
Okay, so they've
Yeah,
added
you're
on to
probably-
that now.
yeah.
It used to be it ran down the middle of Cherry. So they pushed it back.
So all the homes that are on the east side of Cherry, beginning, really the Baptist church is kind of dividing line, if you know where that's at. So everything that's west of that Baptist church and north of that, along Cherry, is in the city.
So what kind of options would we even have? Say we agreed that it would be acceptable. Could you do it on a permit type basis? Like, not just anytime you wanted to, but could you apply for a permit for a certain day?
Not
Back
under the
in
current
day, in
ordinance,
case of
under
rain.
the current ordinance, you couldn't.
We'd have to-
Right.
So in the current ordinance, there are certain exceptions. We prohibit all burning inside the city limits with some exceptions. And the rationale behind that, we used to not prohibit it. Years ago, if you remember, everybody burned their leaves. But it got so bad, people's asthma got so bad, and there's irritants and there's particulates being dispersed in the air. So that was the rationale behind prohibiting burning. But there are a number of exceptions, essentially fires for pep rallies and campfires and 12th night ceremonies, whatever those are, cooking purposes and campfires, and farm burning of wood products derived from maintenance operations, such as burning fence rows, natural growth derived from drainage ditch maintenance, and burning of limbs, but only if the limbs are so diseased and infected as to present contamination problem. You can also buy a variance of the Indiana Air Pollution Control Board Commissioner. I don't know, there are some state regulations as to open burning, and I'm not familiar to be able to recite those verbatim. But the Department of Environmental Management also gets involved in regulating open burning that we have no control over. So I mean, I don't know what to tell you at this point. Another exemption is for fire training purposes, and then the mayor can allow emergency burning as a result of a natural disaster.
Could
But
we-
I don't know what to tell you other than I need to look into a little bit to see how far we can go, what our options are, and whether it's even desirable. That's up to you.
I mean, I think that if we, could we adopt or have something where it's like on, or by permit or something, like where he said he called dispatch. I would rather than have a blanket policy, I would rather it be a case-by-case basis that maybe, because I think either way, our fire chief needs to be in the know. If it's going to be a large-scale sort of burn, like what this kind of, and even if it is like just more than a fire pit, you know what I mean? Like, I think that if we just had where you filled out a permit every year when you're going to do it or whatever, and then,
You know, and it's always done according to just how much we've got. I mean, we're not just gonna start small. Yes, will your eyebrows get singed if you're too close? Absolutely. You know, because like I said, I mean, you got some tree trunks that are this big around, and the limbs coming off of them are like this, and then all the scrub that's right there with it. And yeah, it's gonna be, you're gonna need a couple of hot dog buns and some dogs out there, you know.
You know, I talked to John a little bit, but I really, you know, suggest that he come to the council because as far as an ordinance goes, I know what he does is probably shouldn't be allowed. But I think one difference looking at this that I saw, just looking at the property, is it appears that a large portion of that property is for agricultural use.
Right.
And that's a little different than in a neighborhood or somewhere else.
Which is
So-
another part of the second dance step I was going to add in. We were, a long time ago, early 90s, Phil, maybe you're going to have to get your memory jogged, zoned agricultural, and then under the NOS administration, somehow we got rezoned, and I don't think any of us knew that happened because my other brother and I were talking, might throw some cows up there if we get back to being zoned agricultural. You know, but like I said, because there's currently no plan of that property ever being developed into anything other than what it is, unless we decide to maybe do some Airbnb stuff with the cabin that we've got, which would just be a whole nother thing, which brings me to the third dance step. I'll have dance steps here. And again, this would be a Phil question. Many years ago, we gave an easement to the city to run, I think it was the water line and whatever else on that east side along Cherry Street. And for that easement, and we can't find any paperwork on this, and that's why I said I'm not exactly sure how that was done, but we were told we would be able to get a sewer tap up to that cabin that we have free of charge.
When was this?
This would have been early 90s. You know, that's what I mean. And Pop was the only guy that would have had any of that, and we never did find any of that. But obviously, first thing is the burning thing, second thing is the zoning thing, and third thing is, yeah, how about a free sewer tap?
Well, the zoning, if there was a zoning change, John, it would have, every property owner has to be notified
Right.
of the proposed change in zoning, and they have an opportunity to come to there has to be a public hearing. The planning commission has to have a public hearing, and then they have to make a recommendation to council, and the council has to adopt that zoning recommendation at a public meeting. So I feel comfortable that process was followed. You can ask the planning commission to rezone it.
Back to
Back to
agriculture.
agriculture, you can do that. I don't think that's going to necessarily address the burning issue.
Right,
though, and
right.
I've got to look into that to see how far we can go with regard to IDAM regulations,
So
clean air. and all
would that burning
Good zone.
regulation go like a 2-mile jurisdiction too of the city, or is that just the city line, you know? where it
Right
stops?
now, it's just the city limits.
Okay.
We can only regulate burning inside the city limits.
Okay.
Because according to the map I was looking at, there's very few properties of that size.
Yeah, you have a large size property, you know.
Within the city
This house is
limits.
on-
Most of them are where we're at, right on the
Houses on the other
fringe.
street. So, is this house, is this behind the roundhouse?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can see it behind, that's gray, and so when you look to the south, all of that is.
Does that go all the way to Shelby? Or what is that? Is that Ninth, I mean?
Well, okay, it's
What's
kind
the
of
dead
odd
end on
because
Shelby?
right next to me, I'm on Shelby, but there is what we call the big yard. That's the lot that's next to me between myself and actually my son now. And that lot is actually part of the property. So if you come off of Shelby, but then you go straight back, and that line runs along that tree row, like I said, north of OFS's property line, and then it all runs north towards 10th Street. But it does not go all the way to 10th Street. Klein's and Hauser's have property right on 10th Street.
Yes.
How's the property title?
It's under, I think Gwen's what it's listed under.
Gwen's owner?
Gwen Barnett.
Barnett? Just trying to.
Yeah, I think she gets most stuff. Bill usually does most of the legal dealings on things.
Easier. But it's slow as can be.
Yeah.
Do what it's gotta do, I guess.
Big pile up there by Park Road.
Huge pile.
I'd be interested to see what Phil could come up with.
Yeah,
you know.
I'll
We need to know
You have-
what exceptions can be made, or
Yeah.
And then it's right there in residential.
what could we possibly think of changing in the zoning law? I mean, it'd have to be updated or whatever.
Absent some IDM regulation that prohibits us from allowing open burning, I think you have discretion to do whatever you want. But I have to check to see how IDM regulations, how they play into this.
They supersede anything we do, I
Yes.
assume.
You're probably one of the few people that has that much acreage in the city of Huntingburg, aren't you?
Right.
Yeah.
One of the few. Like, and that's why I said, I mean, the farmers, obviously, they got their fields, they got trees come down, they push them together, they set a match to it, and away she goes.
Trust.
And that's pretty much what we're just wanting to be able to do when we got trees and debris that we're cleaning up, you know, getting somebody to come in with a tri-axle and load it all up with a, front end loader and then cart it away. Well, you may be $1,000, you may be $2,000, hell, you may be $3,000. And it's like, what's the point when you've got 14 acres you can pile it up on?
Yep, I get you.
Away she goes.
So Phil will research what IDEM
Which used to be.
can allow us to do and
That's what I said with that.
I don't know if you remember that.
discuss it at the next meeting.
None of the old.
Do you cut hail? Do you use?
Yeah, we've got a guy that comes and
Okay.
bales
Okay.
twice a year.
That was a part.
Does Hauser still have cattle out there? He used to.
Hauser does not have any.
Okay.
And that's why I said, me and Bill were actually just talking about this the other day, and he was saying, hell, we ought to just fence in part of that and set 4 or 5, 6 heads loose up there
These are all in the city,
and just let them roam.
up to that TriCat property.
So
I think
when you got all that, hell, we're looking at maybe building a greenhouse. You never know, Weird stuff. That citrus in the snow. You ever watch that?
Yeah.
Out there in Nebraska, they guys building them greenhouses and it's off of geothermal.
They're not in the city.
And it's crazy.
Bill Wiseman's properties back there, Jim
Okay.
Wiseman's. This
Before you
is
buy
his
your
property.
cattle,
That's good size of property.
I think since you're in the city limits, even though you have the acreage, even if you're zoned for agricultural, it still is under the ordinance that you couldn't have cattle within the city limits. So I don't want to rain on your parade, but I don't want you to buy cows without checking
Well,
first.
no, that's why I said, I mean, this, you guys have to remember, I was in your shoes about 20-some years ago. I know how the process kind of
Yeah.
operates, and so this is the stepping stone of, we start with this, see where we go with that, and then, like I said, then we look at, I'll probably go to the zoning board and talk to them then about rezoning back to agricultural. And then perhaps somewhere along the line, we can look at free sewer tax.
Like Pam did point out, even if you zoned it for agricultural, you wouldn't be able to raise livestock on it inside the city limits, John. That's the problem.
Well, what if
Now, so what happened? So when property is changed from agriculture to residential or some other zoning classification, but the property's being used as agriculture, you're grandfathered in, and you can continue using it for agriculture, you can continue raising cattle on it until you cease that operation for at least 6 months.
6 months, right?
And then that grandfather goes away.
Okay.
And so if there were cattle raised on there at the time of the rezoning and you continue to raise cattle, you would have been
Jasper
grandfathered.
on top of the hill.
But since there
And they'll have it
haven't been for
forever.
more than 6 months, you couldn't raise cattle inside the city limits.
Because they were zoned.
So that would present an issue.
Just keep them on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could also petition to be disannexed, but that would be a decision this board would have.
Right, absolutely.
And then there goes your sewer.
There goes the
So,
Yeah. What about chickens?
We had that discussion.
don't even get me started, John.
There were 10 meetings where chickens are discussed.
Check the minutes.
Yeah, check the minutes on that.
It's been done.
We've had that.
So are you good, John, if we look further into the IDM, and I think probably the council will, once we have some information from Phil, we'll send that on to the council members that they can have, consider what they think the next step would be.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Oh, I'd say that fair, and then I guess you'll notify me then, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we can go from there and see where we end up at. But like I said,
I will notify you, so.
it's not like I said, it's not like we're gonna build, large bonfires every week. It is something that is a necessity to just, clean the property up, because nature doesn't stop. It keeps blowing through and knocking trees down.
I don't mean to state the obvious, but, the city does have the limb yard. I know that's a lot of labor to drag them down to the limb
That's
yard,
a
but
lot of labor.
that is available.
And again, then you gotta have the equipment to do that with too, because like I said, these logs, some of them, well, there's some up there now that are 18, 20 inches around, and they're not light. I'm not that young anymore.
Yeah.
I get it. For sure.
Well, thank you, John.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, bud.
All right,
Well,
so
any other,
I'll wait to hear from you, and I'm gonna mosey then.
Thank you, John.
Nice
There you
catching
go.
you.
Today also, we have Malia's back here today. Thank you. We have ordered Malia a name badge, so she'll have one over there, and we appreciate it. We had a nice meeting this morning, I think, with the Mayor's Youth Council, and trying to put some stuff together, and going to introduce them maybe to some of our state elected officials in the future here.
I can definitely do it. You guys haven't met me before, have you?
Where are you from?
Hey, before you get started, I understand there were some elections in a recent meeting. Would you mind to tell us how that went?
Yeah, so Mr. Shutter sent out a Google form. I am Mayor's Youth Council President.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Jack Baglin is Vice President. Maggie Rashi is our Secretary. And then Riley Blessinger is our Communications Chair. So, and then we have 3 other members, Colton Obermeyer, Jolyn Bowers, and Alex Huffman. And then hopefully at one meeting we can get them all here and introduce them to you. And then we just kind of sticking to the same plan as last year. So working on the community garden, we have a better idea than what we had. And then we're planning some field trips. We're working with the mayor with that. So.
Good. Great.
Any questions?
Thank you for doing that.
Yes. It's pretty cool.
You'll have to have your communications director get with our communications director.
Just ignore him.
All right. So we have no other announcements, or items. Anybody have a motion to?
Oh, wait.
Thumbs,
Oh, I'm
thumbs.
sorry.
We have a bid opening
Oh,
For the van.
for the van, and I wanted to get,
I didn't know
I want you
about
to
that.
approve a bid opening committee.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you had one for us to open.
No.
I got
not-
really excited.
I think that's the 26th.
I'd say the bid open committee would be Tom and April.
Why not?
That's fine with me, if that suffice.
Suffice for me.
I'd second it, or whatever you got. You gotta
All in favor?
make a motion here, or what?
Okay, so we have a motion right now. by Tom-
I'll second it.
Tom Dipple and April Blessing are the bid committee for the van.
Okay.
All right, that opening is the 26th?
Yeah.
All right, on the 26th. We got a first and a second, I believe, to Energy Commission, second, Tom. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
How many bids do we have on that? Two?
Haven't got any yet.
Oh, no, we have we have a time frame now.
We got it updated.
Oh, I see.
They have up to the 26th or the 25th?
Well, they have, it's a bid opening on the 26th, so they're sealed bids.
Okay.
I think the Christmas stroll was pretty fun this weekend.
Yes.
It was
very
great. I
successful.
saw a lot of people up for both nights. Look forward for more things like that to happen in our little city.
Yeah, but thank you for those that, really everybody that helped. There's so many people, but my comments from the merchants down there in the restaurants that it was one of the best weekends ever. Some people broke some sales records, and it was very strong. You know, the weather's always iffy this time of year. You never know it's going to snow or be hot or rain or what. You know, everything's there, but people came out regardless of the weather and showed up, and everybody seemed to have fun. There were no incidents, no injuries. Everybody was safe, so.
A lot of cars parked out back and behind the buildings, which are using our parking lots. I thought that was great.
And I have heard a lot of people that really love when 4th Street is shut down like that. Just that it's more family friendly. I think that the kids can kind of, everybody goes, so it was very successful.
Sure.
Yeah, hats off to
A lot of fun,
the
yes.
merchants and
Absolutely.
everybody involved.
Maybe we should shut it down all the time then.
As long as they bring a lot of people over.
Let's not go there.
I had clients complaining Monday when it was open. It's a holiday.
All righty. Thank you for bringing that up, Tim. Anything else?
No.
All right.
I move to adjourn.
I second it.
We got a first and a second on adjournment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Same size. Thank you.
That's it.
We are adjourned at